Thank you very much for having me tonight. I have very fond memories of this building. I think the last time I was here, I came in for a public speaking class. I came in bare feet that day to be a bit provocative. I came in with my 9-foot surfboard, even though we don't really have waves here. And I came in with a shaved head. 15 years, a lot changes. I still have my shaved head, but that's probably without choice tonight at this stage. I am really proud to, I've been on campus maybe 24 hours now. I've been out of this environment for probably about 14, 15 years. Obviously I've lost my accent along the way somewhere too. But somewhere, in the last 24 hours, I feel like I'm coming back at a very special moment in time in the history of this university, and it's something that I'm very proud to be a part of. I think that we probably have 50% more buildings than we had when I was here. I think we don't have the Hillsdale Ghetto, which I lived in when I was here, which sadly enough, may it rest in peace, as it was bulldozed. I think we have 50% more students in our population than when I was here. We have an amazing and a very progressive leader of our SGA, Ravi, who I had a chance to speak with tonight, who I'm very proud of the work that he's doing, the leadership that he has. And so, I come back at a moment that it seems very special. And somebody had mentioned a moment ago that in sports, we as a university have an outsized influence, or we produce more than our size. And I think the international community as part of this university is something that we should be really proud of as well. To speak very quickly, probably if I look back over the last 10 years, since first going to China and then spending a lot of time in Asia, I would probably see the thread of working with migrants being the commonality that I've oriented my life around. And it all came very unexpectedly. I had planned to go into the Foreign Service. I studied Mandarin in Beijing. And then one day a friend took me out into a migrant community, a migrant slum on the edge of Beijing. And from that day, literally everything changed. And it was almost like an engine that was lying dormant inside of me all of my life. Suddenly the switch got flipped on. And ever since then, I've been greedy almost in my pursuit for a better life of migrants living in slums in Asia. And I would say that as we learned very intently about the migrant situation in Asia, then Africa, Latin America, a lot of us don't know this, but 1 million people are flooding from the countrysides to the cities every single day. The world is restructuring itself in very radical ways. In 2050, the cities that are in the top 10 lists of population are very different. Some of them are almost unrecognizable from those that are in the top 10 today. And so, as we had the experience to see the migrants' role in the cities, a lot of the cities, governments, and whatnot, they treat them informally. They see them as blight. They see them as crowding the cities, as dirtying the environments, as competition for resources in many ways. But as you look closer and as you befriend and then you begin to look at the studies as well, we see very clearly this hidden secret, if you will, that migrants are an asset in their cities. They're an economic asset. They're a social asset as they help to strengthen their diversity, help strengthen the social fabric of these cities. And as I looked back into the U.S. and came back and forth, there's a tremendous amount of parallel that we could find with the issue of immigration here in the U.S. I saw, in the lives of those that we were working with, they have the same hopes, they have the same fears, they have the same dreams for their kids that many of you and I have for our kids. And so it would turn, a lot of people have said, well, Jonathan, that's fine and good that you're working with the migrants, in other parts of the world, but what about here in the U.S.? And we've been pretty tenacious at keeping our focus. So we've always declined to bring Included or even Utopia to work directly here in the U.S. But I think that, as I look back over the last couple of years of the narrative around immigration here in the U.S., I feel like in some ways we've lost a grasp of the truth of the narrative, of the role of the immigration has played in our country. And I feel deeply that we all deserve to belong. I think, certainly citizenship, I'm not going to speak politics tonight, even though we just had Super Tuesday. But citizenship and policy conversation is one thing, but at a very human level, we all deserve to belong. And so I think, we as a university here in the South is a progressive voice, is a kind voice, is a lighthouse on a hill, as they say. And I think that we should remember our roots, that we are all made up of migrants as a nation, of immigrants. And London and New York, two cities most characterized by immigration today in modern history in the world, are also perhaps the two strongest cities in the world. And so, our hope is that we can recognize our immigrant friends for what they are. They're actually our history. And if we doubt that, let's go ask our grandparents or our great-grandparents about that. And so to, in some ways, not just stand up here and talk about it, but to try to put some effort behind that as well. My best friend, Juan Torres, who's here tonight sitting back at table 21, I think it is, he and I were roommates, and we spent literally hours and hours, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. mornings over the kitchen table in the Hillsdale ghetto, just talking about the state of the world and talking about what our role is, what our responsibility is. And we talk about an award tonight, and I'm very humbled by that. But at this stage of my career, I really see it as a responsibility. So thank you very much for putting a heavy weight of responsibility for the rest of my career on my shoulders. And I really hope that I can carry that forward in a way that that makes this community, this family, proud. But Juan and I would just talk about what is our role here in the U.S. and in society. And about 2 years ago, he began with his wife, who's from Venezuela. Juan went to business school here. I think you did graduate, even though I don't think you attended either. Do you have proof of that, actually? Are you documented graduate of our esteemed university here? We were speaking about that, and about 2 years ago, he started very simple tutoring programs for immigrant children here in Mobile. And then a lot of volunteers came, and even volunteers from this university came as well. And so we've been speaking, and we'll be spending the next few days together to see if we can get behind Juan and birth this organization called Belong, using some similar concepts that Included has put into play around the world, but really getting behind the passion that Juan has shown here to really make a home for all of us to belong. And so if you would like to be a part of that birthing effort of Belong, and I'm not here to pitch that tonight, but I'm just such a sincere believer in what he's doing and the positive narrative that he's promoting. It's an incredibly positive effort. And so we hope that we can get some students involved from this university, which I think will happen in the coming days and weeks and months. And I just want to close with this. I think we are in need for not only leadership at this moment in time in history, but we're in need for kind leadership. Leadership that is inclusive, leadership that is human, leadership that remembers the best parts of who we are as a human race. We're on this spinning little blue dot, apparently in the middle of black nothingness so far. And so what binds us together as humans, certainly is greater than our differences. And so we're in need of that kind, binding leadership at this moment. I am a single dad of a 3-year-old son, he's a very cheeky boy. You probably saw him behind me. He's half Chinese. And because, I've been a single dad since before he was actually born, I've been very sensitive to this idea, will we have a close bond? And I end up taking care of him, half the time, and so of course we do. But I was a bit nervous and unconfident about this. And so I created this, like all fathers do, expectant fathers, I created an email account for him in his name. And I had the password for that. And so I started sending him emails I'll send him an email tonight with a selfie and say, I miss you, son, I'm out doing this, this work and whatnot, and I wish you were here with me. And I want to build up this memory bank for him so that he can look back on that and never have any question about that, our bond before he really can form memories. But I find myself these days inserting emails to him that says, son, if I could wish anything for you, I wish curiosity. Because out of curiosity, many things flow. Many things are attached to that. An appreciation for life and awe, a sense of curiosity and of interest in other people's lives around you, which will make you interesting and make you a lifelong learner as well. And out of that curiosity, I hope that you become, I hope that drives you into leadership. And most importantly, son, the world needs kind leadership at this moment. And so I'm proud that this university, I stand on the shoulders of giants, is incredibly kind. It was very kind to me. It's been very kind to the international community here. And I'm very proud to be a part of this family. Thanks so much for having me tonight.